All right. Hey guys. So we are going to start our second style of art and we're going to look at what we are going to do for our second square in our four square fruit. So the next style of art for us is realistic. Now, realistic is when you're attempting to copy something and make it look like it really does in real life. In other words, you're not making it up, you're not trying to show it through some sort of interpretation or style like impressionism or pop art or something like surrealism, but you want to show what's exactly there. So there are a couple famous artists that are really good representations of realism. One of them is Grant Wood. He did what's called American Gothic. You've probably seen this picture a lot, but he wanted everything to look realistic from the people to their wrinkles to their clothes to the house behind them. Over here, we have a painting by James John Audubon of a roseate spoonbill. Now, fun fact about James John Audubon is that he traveled all over the United States categorizing and making beautiful realistic drawings of all these birds so that scientists would be able to study and classify them. However, he needed the birds to stay still. And y'all might know that birds do not exactly stay still. So he shot them and then he taxidermied them, he stuffed them, and then he posed them to paint. So a little bit less fuzzy than you thought. Another really famous realistic artist is Rembrandt. So he especially wanted to be realistic about where the light was hitting. And then this is The Gleaners by Francois Millet. And Millet was very specific about showing everyday life, showing what was really there. So here they are, they're picking up the last of the wheat harvest. They're gleaning, which means to essentially like get everything that's left. And you can see them, they're hunched over, these shadows, you see the sun where it's beating down on them. So realistic is really an honest picture. Now, these are both black and white, but we're going to go in and we're going to do a realistic interpretation of our fruit on one of our squares. So let's see what that would look like for us. How are we going to do it? Okay. Well, first off, I need to pick one of the corners of my fruit. I am doing a guava. So as I look and I see what a guava looks like, because I've got some photographs over here to help me, I think the most interesting one might be to do this one, because that's going to have those fun pinks. All right, I am going to be using colored pencils for this. And I'm going to keep my photograph near me so I can see about what I'm looking at. I see some pinks, some peaches, maybe some oranges. I do see a little bit of yellow in the seeds. And I also see a variety of greens in there. So before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and pull several for myself to help me out. Now, I don't need them all sharpened right this second, but it will help me if they're at least close by and available so that I'm able to blend without having to spend another 10 minutes looking in the box. Okay. And always helpful to have some black so that you've got a shadow. And I think from what I've got, that looks pretty good. I think I can make that work for me. Might add this salmon in there. Okay. So all you're doing is you're trying to add the color where you see it. So I see that this pink is really light. So I'm going to come with kind of the lightest thing I've got. And if I need to test it, I can test it on the back and see like what this color looks like as opposed to this color. This one looks a little bit more purplish pink, whereas that one looks a little bit more regular pink. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. Now, just like we know for everything else we ever do, we need it to be filled so that it is not becoming a messy situation of scribble scrabble. There is no benefit to scribble scrabbling because you got to go back and fix it anyway. So I'm going to come in. I see that whole part is there. Now you may end up like I did with some marks where you've got pencil lines from previous drawings or previous attempts. That's okay. Simply do the best you can as far as filling it in. Especially if you push down hard, you are going to see some of those indentations. And that's just par for the course. All right, so I've got my lighter pink in here. Some people find it helpful to mix white in. In this situation, since I'm on white paper, I don't really find it super helpful. But I do see now that I've got this darker area in between. So I'm going to come in, I am going to add that pink, but then I'm going to go in and I'll mix in a little bit of some darker colors to really pop it out. Now, remember, you can try mixing different colors on the back of your square in the same way that you tried mixing or tried out the color on the back of your square, period. So don't forget that that is an option that you can avail yourself of. So I think it looks a little bit more orangish in here. So I'm going to add some salmon. And then I don't know that that created the difference that I wanted, that it created as much as I was hoping for. So I can keep going. I can see what it will happen if I come in with a little bit of raspberry on the edge. Oh, that may help slightly. Remember, everything's a little bit of an experiment. You're still trying things out. You're still seeing what works and what doesn't work. Actually, red may be the best, most helpful thing for me right here. Yeah, that helps a little bit more. And then I may just need to get a little bit of black around some of the seeds to show their shadow. And the edge. And I see that those seeds are yellow, so I am going to come in with my yellow. Now, normally I would do all of one thing at a time, so that way I didn't lose my place and I was orderly. But I do see, since I'm working with y'all, I want to go ahead and show you this part, this kind of edge of the rind looks a little bit more yellow greenish than the full green of the outside. So to do that, I'm going to come in and I'll come and mix some yellow and some green. So I'm getting a nice blended color that's not going to be as pure green as the other. And then I see down here, it's a nice full dark green. So I'll come in, I'll give myself some of that coloring. And it does have a little bit of shadow down here. So I would continue so that I've got my whole side. And I'm going to make sure that I'm not scrabbling. And I'm just going to leave the background blank right now because I want all that focus to be on what the fruit actually looks like. So I'll speed it up, get finished, and I'll show you what it looks like.